opportunity of growth for everyone that is involved with it. For the people that come and serve, we grow so much spiritually, but we also grow bonds with the people that we're working with. We're here for a week. We get close. We get to know each other. We grow with the homeowners. We get to know them. We get to know their stories. We're so lucky to be here, to be able to grow in that way. And it's overall just one of the best experiences that I've been through.
I've seen World Changers change me personally a lot, because before I came here I didn't really know, just kind of in Southern Illinois in my own little bubble. But being here and seeing how other people live their lives and what all's happened to them, it just really opens my eyes and makes me feel really blessed to be able to help these people and be the hands and feet of God.
This week. So before I even show some pictures and talk about it, I just want to brag a lot on our crew from Disney Ridge. We're missing Dakota, he's on vacation, but I know a lot of you already know this anyways, but we truly have some of the best youth around. There were some crews that had some people that didn't want to get dirty, that didn't want to work. And that was not these girls in Dakota. They were hot, sweaty. They put more screws in a board than I've ever seen. And I got to be on a crew with Mallory and Maddie and Alexis, and then another 10-mile girl. And I'm gonna tell you right now, these girls single-handedly built the first deck that we did by themselves. And so they did some awesome work. So before I let them come up here, I want to share with you just a little bit of what we were doing and the magnitude. So it was really hard. Like you see it on the news, EF5 tornado. Oh, bless their hearts. And then you get there. And then you listen to the mayor show you this picture that that's what was coming the night of December 10th. I looked up last night, Hopkins County and White County, there's a 25 square mile difference. We're 25 square miles smaller. And I don't know if you guys remember, But that was projected to hit us. And last minute, for whatever reason, it turned and went to Kentucky. 15 deaths. This is just Hopkins County. This isn't, I mean, there was Mayfield and Arkansas and all, this is just Hopkins County. 15 deaths, at least 200 injuries, 1,000 structures damaged, but 500 destroyed. And when we say destroyed, the families that we worked with had nothing left to their name but a concrete slab. Vehicles totaled, not an article of clothing left. Anything important to them, completely gone. So we also found out this tornado, they told us, was 35,000 feet in the air. So if an airplane had been flying, could have been hit by like a lawnmower midair. So that's the magnitude of this tornado, and it was on the ground for 17 miles when it touched down in our area. So it's important to note that. This is what it still looks like. This is just right across the way from where my crew was in Barnsley. We were at Barnsley Loop. So 7 months later, still very much damaged. This is us, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed before we left 10 Mile. So excited. Not really sure what we were in for, but we were pumped to be going. This was our lovely, luxurious living quarters in the classroom. So, girls, were you hot or cold every night? Freezing. And to be fair, I told them to bring lots of blankets. Did they bring lots of blankets? So guess who slept with one less blanket every night? But it was fine. It was awesome. That's what makes World Changers so fun, too, is this right here. So that was our Hotel de Hopkins Central High School. This is day one. Some of the girls on my crew were getting ready to go out, and then they do what's called a great send-off. So that is, we were pretty small in numbers. We had about 70 working, going out, and they do a big prayer before we go off to meet our crew, the homeowners, and working. So here are some of our own on their job site. So Liv, were you a brake master? So she was in charge every morning of getting ice and water for her crew, which is a pretty important job, and honestly probably not one of the most fun ones, because we leave at 7:30, and they have to have that ready before we leave. So that was awesome for her for stepping up. Kinsey, who's that? That's Ace, one of the dogs. Is that Lee and Laura's? So that's one of the dogs that she made friends with. And then there's Dakota, obviously getting to work, putting some stuff in a wheelbarrow. So this is the crew, my crew, where we were at. And I just want to share a little bit about Miss Clara's house, and her testimony. So Miss Clara, this was obviously projected to hit them 30 hours in advance. But like us, when they say it's going to be bad, is it ever really bad? So we do our normal, okay, we're prepared, we know where we're going to go, but nothing ever happens. And then they said, you know, when it was in Arkansas, now the news is starting to say things like catastrophic, and you need to get your plan in place now. So Miss Clara was actually on the phone with someone in Dawson Springs, who's just up the road, when it hit Dawson Springs, and he said, you need to take cover right now. She had her 2 grandbabies, a 15-month-old and then one younger than that. She put them in a bathtub, she put a Bible between them, and then next thing she knew, they were gone. And she woke up, she had been knocked out, she had no idea where they were. It was pouring down rain, and she couldn't see, it was pitch black. So in between strikes of lightning, she's looking, trying to find the bathtub and trying to hear for the grandbabies. Out of nowhere, a total godsend, her neighbor comes down the hill and walks straight, she doesn't even say anything to him, walks straight to the bathtub, lifts it up, and there they sit, unharmed. They are not even wet from the rain. It had literally dumped over the top of them and sheltered them. So that was the first homeowner that we got to work with. Wow. She put a Bible between them and she prayed over them. And in the middle of her prayer, they were sucked out. And so I just can't fathom that kind of faith. So she lost everything. She had a home before she got this double wide, and it was completely swept away. So our job was to build a deck for her. So here are girls doing some hard work, and God bless our crew and our crew chief, Joe. He was actually from Madisonville, so we got a lot of insight from him, and he was so patient. He let them do everything. He showed them how to use the builder square. He showed them how to put screws in at an angle to pull the boards closer together. And I mean, they made every cut, measurement, screw, all of it. Here's some more teamwork, lots of teamwork. This was tricky because we did not have an even surface to work on. So it took us 2 days to build this deck. And there we are with Miss Clara and our finished product. And before we finished, we went through and wrote scripture all over the underneath and prayed over it, and she loved that. Miss Clara is a very firm woman of the Lord, so she was super excited about that. This was one of our favorite things every night. We would just gather in our room or the girls next door from 10 Mile, and that was really cool to watch this week because we weren't two separate churches that went. We merged as one, and we all left saying, we need to do this more often. Here's our second property. This is Joe's. And Joe and his dog were actually famous. So Joe actually lived in a shop. In the back of it had a living quarters. And he went to the back of it. It completely wiped it clean. The only thing that saved his life was a barrel that was keeping the concrete from coming on top of him. And the concrete was so close to his face that when the fire crews came by, they could not hear him screaming. So they put an X on his property saying, there's nobody left here, it's clear. His neighbor came down and said, no, I'm telling you, if Joe was not stuck in there, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. Like, Joe's stuck in there. Joe was trapped for 1 hour and 37 minutes before they rescued him. All Joe has is Patches, that dog. He has no family. He had a girlfriend of 24 years that passed away 3 years ago. This dog is literally all he has to his name. And they didn't find her that night. And so he went back the next morning and told the rescue people, if you don't let me go in there, the moment you turn your back, I'm going in. So I'm going to do this with or without you kind of thing. And they went in and found her actually probably like 2 feet from where he was rescued. So we got to meet and love on Patches, and she was the best. So I'm sure you'll hear more stories about her. And then this is the last picture I have. So my crew finished about 10 a.m. on Thursday, and we really couldn't start anything new. Other crews had plenty of help. They had some standing around, so there was really nothing that we could do. So John, our crew chief, being from there, was like, well, we'll go on down to the Dawson Springs area and show you some more of like the damage and all of that. So we're driving, and it's just destruction everywhere, like leveled flat, no signs of life or joy or anything. And then I see this sunflower in the middle of disaster. Everything is bent and twisted and broken, and in the middle of this field, there's just a sunflower. And that, to me, represented these people of Hopkins County. There was not one person that we spoke with that was like, poor, pitiful me. They actually were encouraging to us, Lee and Laura. Lee flat out told us, get up. When things like this in your life happen, get up and move on. You don't have time to sit and be sad and pity yourselves. So this was just the epitome of what the people of Hopkins County were. Before I turn it over to them, it is important that you know the funniest story of our trip. And it involves me, therefore I get to share it before they do. I do not have my 15-passenger van license. Our van was not a 10-mile church van. So we get to our site the first day, and wouldn't you know, we didn't have a hammer. We're building a deck and we don't have a hammer. Alexis is like, oh, I have one, but it's back at the school. Okay, great. So I go over to Miss Laura, who's the one driving us. I'm like, hey, would you care to take Alexis back to the school to go get her hammer?
Oh, you can drive it. I don't have my 15-passenger van license. I don't think this is a good idea. She goes, no, as long as you have a regular license, you can drive it. Okay. This driveway is this steep, okay? And it's the width of the van that I'm driving. Doesn't have a backup camera, just so you're aware. So I get in, and I've got Mallory and Grace and Alexis, because you can't travel alone. Now, mind you, there's an SUV parked in the middle of this driveway. So task number 1 is to back out without smoking Miss Marty's SUV. So I'm in, and I'm like 10 and 2. I'm like 4 inches from this SUV. I'm like, yes, I clear it. And about the time I say, all right, girls, how am I? It goes, whoom. Left tire in the ditch, stuck. Like I'm talking tilted, so far in there, there's no hope of getting out. So I'm mortified. I didn't cry. Those of you who know me, that's shocking. I didn't cry. I pulled it together. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? And I'm already figuring out of how I'm gonna pay for this and what's gonna happen. Out of nowhere, this guy in an old beat up Dodge, never seen him, drives by and he's like, hey, you guys need help? I got a chain in the back of my truck. I'd be glad to pull you out. I'm like, yes, please, come help me. So they get in, they tie it up, they pull it out, and I am now the laughingstock of the entire World Changers. People found out about it before I even got back, and they thought I was driving forward and put it in a ditch, which is not true. So this is why when they tell you, my highlight of World Changers was when K-Chap put the van in the ditch, you have to have the context. So that's the true story. The van was fine, no harm done. So now I'm gonna have these girls who are nervous for no reason come up and share with you all about their experience. And then I told them when they finish, if you guys have any questions, they would love to hear them and answer them if they can. So come on up, girls.
We'll stand down here. Okay. My name is Mallory, and I was on the crew with Kaylee and Maddie and Alexis. And our crew is called the Lumber Rumblers, obviously, because we were building a deck. But it was just really amazing just to get to spread the word just through our actions and what we were doing. Not even with just our homeowners, but like the guy that came and pulled us out of the ditch, just him allowing to see what we were doing for their community and just spreading the word. And God bless our homeowners. They were the sweetest. Joe brought us waters every day because it was so hot. And it was just really amazing getting to meet new people and just also working with people that I already knew. But yeah, my favorite part was probably Kaylee driving into a ditch. But just writing the verses on the deck was just pretty amazing. Just knowing that God's word was already on that and just keeping them safe and just praying with our homeowners as we left and just allowing them to have the comfort and letting them know that God is there was just really amazing. But yeah.
You guys already know that I was on a team with Kaylee, Mallory, and Alexis, but the other people that were on the team too, Grace and Rykona and Draven, I was going to call him Draxon. It was just a really big blessing that I got to make friends with everyone at 10 Mile, and I already knew most of them, but just creating such a strong bond with them over this week has really been such a blessing for me. I became really close with Aubrey Kaufman and Grace Woodrow, two of the sweetest people ever. Loved them a lot, and I think we're all planning to do something with youth groups to keep in touch more. But I just wanted to thank the church for this opportunity and allowing us to all go. It was such a big blessing. My favorite part was probably Thursday night. We had this concert of prayer. What was it called? Concert of prayer. So they would put something on the screen, and there was something we'd have to pray for specifically. Me and Alexis and Kinsey were actually in a group, and we all would get together and pray over certain things and take turns. It was just a really big blessing and a good change.
I was on the team, the Lumber Rumblers, as you guys know, with Maddie, Mallory, and Kaylee. We built 2 porches for our homeowners, Laura and Joe. They were both really appreciative and so sweet to us. They always came out and talked to us. Laura wasn't there because she was at work, but one day she made sure to come and see us and tell us how thankful she was and how thankful, how thankful she was that that we were there to just help her. And I really liked getting to meet other people from other churches and just having them on my team, and just us all coming together for the same reason was a really cool thing. It was a lot of fun. And like K-Chop said, when the guy came through, it was really a God thing because one of the boys on our team goes, "Yeah, that axle's toast." Like, we thought we were done for. But luckily it wasn't. We just got pulled out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'll definitely be wanting to go back next year.
Okay. I was on a team with Kinsey and a few other people from 10 Mile. We actually had 2 groups that were combined because we were supposed to do painting because we're the Roller Kings, but we didn't do any painting. So we had the first day we went to 4 different sites and we did little tasks around there if they needed any help. And then the second day we got set at Laura and Lee James' house, and which was such a blessing because I just love Laura and Lee. As soon as we got there, they treated us like family instantly, and they were so sweet and so kind. And all I really did was organize their stuff because 7 months later, after the tornado, they still had stuff everywhere. So I just helped clean their house a little bit and just helped around. I got to use a nail gun, so that was awesome. So I liked it. No. My favorite part was meeting all the new people, especially Jeremiah. He's my favorite. Okay, Jeremiah is from Maryland, right?
I don't know.
Maryland, and he is the sweetest boy ever. I wish I had the video of him baptizing Ethan.
I have the video.
You have the video?
Yeah, I have the video.
No. It was at supper. So we baptized Ethan. Then he tried to baptize Brandon, but that didn't work out. Oh yeah, he has Down syndrome, but he's literally the sweetest kid ever, and we love him. So. Wait, did I say my favorite part already?
That was your favorite.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, yeah, my favorite part was just meeting all these new people and getting closer to the 10 Mile crew because they're all so sweet and kind and have so much love for God. And I would love to get closer with all of them because they are just some of the best people that I've met in a while. So, yeah.
I was on Liv's team, the Roller Kings, and like she said, it's really ironic that we did not paint at all. It was really fun, but you kind of had to prepare yourself whenever you're going into something like this. Whenever you're doing mission work, it can change with the snap of a finger. Like, you can be going to one work site, going to another work site, and you just have to be ready for that. Going to World Changers is really amazing, and doing all these things for people makes you feel so, so good. You're going out to somewhere you've never been before, you don't know anyone there, but it's so crazy, the bonds that you form with some people, even though you know you probably won't ever see them again. You feel so close to everyone. I got closer with all the girls from our church, and I got closer with all the girls from 10 Mile. I absolutely love everyone. My favorite part of the week was probably just being out on the work site, working and making friends. And I did some of the weirdest jobs, like cleaning rusty wrenches for 3 hours. At least we were in the shade. But it was really fun, and it is a life-changing experience. And I really, really recommend for some of you going into 8th grade in high school like next year, you're gonna wanna go. It is amazing, and you're going to leave, like you're gonna come back, and you're gonna just have something a little bit different about you every year you go. So.
Yep. Yes, Laura wants to say something real quick. Before I hand it over to Laura, Kinsey hit the nail on the head. So those of you that are younger in here and you're like, man, I want to go, but I'm not of age, or maybe you are of age, or maybe you're a grown adult, we have all collectively agreed that if at all possible, we're going to be going next year, wherever that may be. There's a job for everyone. And whether that's driving, I was a crew encourager, and I will forever love that role. I got to write positive notes and leaving with these girls. I got to cheer them on when they were in the heat of the day. It's 3 o'clock, we're ready to go home, and we just have to finish this last job. But it is like church camp on steroids. So if you love church camp, World Changers is its own breed, and it's the best. So those of you that are not quite old enough, but you're getting there, your time's coming, and we can't wait for you to get to join us, because it's just awesome. So, Laura, you want to go?
I just have to say something, because this is so near and dear to my heart. 20 years ago, we heard about World Changers, and I was asked to go. And I told God told me I was going. I told God I didn't have time to go. And He said, you're going, so I went. And the first night, I had to apologize to God for being upset about not wanting to go, because it was phenomenal. And if you've ever been to World Changers, you guys out here, would you stand up if you've been out here? Okay, thank you, you guys. Janet, did we go 14 years? I think I've gone 15 times, and I think you went with me every time but one. And Jamie, I know you've been a bunch, Logan and Melanie. We've had, I think I counted a couple of years ago that we had 100 people from Dittany, our association, over that 15 years, over 100 different people had gone to World Changers. And the last time we went was in 18. We didn't get to go in 19. Some things fell apart administrative-wise, and then, of course, 20 and 21. And I've been praying and praying and praying that we could get back to World Changers. And whenever the opportunity came up, I was so torn between going and staying for Bible school. And I felt like God told me to stay. I was passing the baton to Kaylee for her to take these girls, and you don't know. I'm so glad you guys went. I'm so thankful. And what you guys are seeing and what you're hearing, this is what happens every year. And it's $290 that the church paid for each one of these guys to go. But let me tell you, it is money well spent. It will have eternal value, not just for the people that they ministered to in Hopkins County, but it will have eternal value for them. And we don't know the end of where this goes. And I just want you to know, that house that we saw the deck where they were building, that is right between Chris's mom and dad's house and their church. Chris and I have driven by that place hundreds of times. It's literally right between. Matter of fact, one of their host churches was Chris's home church, where his mom and dad go. Was that they fed you guys? You four right there? That's his home church that they were working with. And so I just want you to, kids, you guys getting ready to come into 8th grade, high school, college, next year if we get a chance to go. And adults, if you are able-bodied at all, I'm telling you, you will not regret spending this week. If you get a chance to go. You go to be a blessing, but the blessing you receive, you just can't, it's indescribable. So I want to thank you guys for going. And I thank Kaylee for stepping up to do it. And just thank you, and I pray you've caught World Changers fever. Because it's like no other. It's like no other. So, okay, I know you were wanting to ask questions, and then we need to.
Does anybody have any questions for them? What?
Yes, I do. If Dakota was standing there, when you girls speak up to Dakota, what would Dakota have to say?
Yeah, we weren't on
We
his.
were on his crew like one day.
Yeah, we were with him one day.
Oh, he was on Stacy's crew. So
Yeah.
they were, you want to talk about
Okay, we were with Dakota's crew for one day, and I don't even know what he did.
He held a lot of ladders.
Yes.
And he complained to me that he tripped over a rock, like with the ladder in his hand and fell on his face. He was on Stacy's crew, and he worked really hard.
Yeah, so Stacy's crew was a brick home that the tornado literally sucked all the bricks off, all the insulation. It was you walk in the home and it's just 2x4s everywhere. So they did a lot of picking up bricks. Stacy sounds like she has the worst sinus infection of her life because she picked up so much insulation. So I'm sure when you saw Dakota putting stuff in the wheelbarrow, they were hauling off brick and debris and all of that hard work. Did I leave anything out? Oh my gosh.
And a big thank you for Kaylee being like our mom this week and being there to just talk or if we missed home or anything like that, because she was great and I love her.
Anybody else have questions for them? Michigan, Maryland, Missouri, and then obviously Kentucky and Illinois. But yeah, was it a 17-hour drive for them? They flew back. 9 hours from Michigan. So what's actually really cool about this project, talking with Brian and Stacy, they had been looking, Brian and Stacy Henderson from 10 Mile were our group leaders. We tagged along with them. And, around March, April, they started thinking, okay, we really need to start figuring out where we're going to go if we're going to go. And so when you pull up the worldchangers.net, it shows you all the locations that they've got. And so they were looking at like Panama City and somewhere else, and they just didn't feel at peace with any of them. And they were like, they didn't really want to go that far. And they just felt like God was saying no to all of these. So it gets to be May, and Stacy is like, Brian, we have to make a decision right now if we're going to go or not, because it's time to get the ball rolling. The day they pulled it up was the first day that Hopkins County site was posted. And so it was a 100% God-ordained, perfect setup that this is where we were supposed to go. So that's where we went. And it's heartbreaking to talk to some of these people. And I was sharing with my parents earlier, the insurance part of this for them is ugly. A lot of these people that had nice brick homes before are getting trailers in return, and insurance is saying, oh, you had termites in your home before? Well, that's a pre-existing condition, and if you didn't have termites, then maybe your home wouldn't have been destroyed. And so that's what they're facing right now, lots of them. So like Lee and Laura, they already have a beautiful pole barn home up and living in, and then you have, I don't know, did Miss Claire's house, she has a double wide now and she loves it, but I think because that was the whole reason she had the grandbabies, is her daughter lived in a trailer park and she had a sturdy home with sturdy walls to keep them. So, anybody else have any questions?
I do, Kaylee.
Yes.
First, I am so proud of you girls because this was not easy, and there's no tire like World Changers Tire.
Amen.
There's nothing more exhausting. But I'm going to put you on the spot.
Ooh.
Because I know, and I don't care who answers, that sometimes there aren't words to describe everything that takes place in your own heart. So can anybody share, I know you said I'll never be the same, but can anybody share like how are you different? How are you going to walk differently because of World Changers? That's a big one.
It just makes me feel grateful for what I have and just really puts things into perspective because I see these people and what they've lost and what they're going through. And I just came back home and I was just like, wow, we are really grateful for what we have and for that tornado missing us since it was projected. So it just really puts things into perspective and just what we talked about through the week and our freedom that we have with God and just allowing Him, just allowing us to worship Him freely unlike other people around the world. It's just really awesome because we get to just worship Him on our own time. And just, I'm so thankful for what we have and everything that we have done over the weeks.
There also was 2 kids on our team that were adopted. One of them was Raikona, and actually his adopted mother died about 7 months ago from COVID, and then Draven. I got to hear a lot about his life, and it was just really heartbreaking to see how they're doing all of this work and going out and being the hands and feet of God, and then going back to a type of home that we are not used to. We are so blessed to just go back to a home where we're loved and we're going to church every week and involved and praying. And when I heard them talking about their home life, it just made me feel really blessed to have such a good family that has such strong values.
So Lee and Laura, you would have never guessed that they were going what they were going through, and they are just so strong. And it made me realize that what I'm going through is not near as bad as what they're going through. And I make a big deal about everything and dramatic, and when it's literally nothing, but they put all their faith in God and are living happily because they have God in their heart. And you would have never known that they lost anything because they are so cheerful still after what they've lost. And what? Oh, sorry. Oh, no, I've lost my train. You can go, because I don't remember what I was saying.
Every night before we had our message and worship, they'd bring in a family or a person who was affected by the tornado or by the storms, people that had their entire houses destroyed. One night they brought in the mayor. Every night they'd give some story that it just broke your heart, the things that they would say. I think I cried every night hearing the stories that they would tell us. And the mayor came in and he told us a bunch of things, showed us video clips of what it looked like right after the tornado had hit. And then he started talking about this young married couple, that they had a little 5-month-old baby. And they heard the news about the tornado coming, and they knew that they didn't have much time left. And so they grabbed their baby, put it in a pumpkin seat, and ran under their stairwell, and they clung on to that, and it got sucked out of their hands. And that little 5-month-old baby was found out in the middle of nowhere the next day dead. And that puts it in perspective because sometimes little kids can be really hard, but in those moments, it's hard to remember to hold on and love to those moments with those little kids because it was the only kid that they had, and it was only 5 months old, and they completely lost it. Then the mom's in the hospital right now, paralyzed on her right side, waist down completely. And there's a cross up where they found that baby. It's all decorated all the time, and there are people that come and visit that cross. And that story really broke my heart, I think, the most, because with little siblings, I can relate to those hard moments, and then I could never imagine losing them. So that's one of the stories that I feel like it can change the way you think a lot. And it can change moments with siblings that might be hard or with little kids. So.
One of our homeowners, Lee, got up on stage, and one of the people Olivia was talking about, he's gone through a lot. And he told us no matter what you go through, to just get up. He said every morning whenever we see him at breakfast, he always helps serve us breakfast for us to tell him that we were winning today. So no matter what you're going through, he said, get up and God will be with you.
I think we're getting close to church service starting. So if you guys will just pray with us for the people of Hopkins County that still very much need and appreciate our prayers, we would love that. So Heavenly Father, God, we just come before you right now, just so thankful that you perfectly planned this out. You knew years in advance that you would have us right where you did. You knew the work we'd be doing, you knew the people we'd be serving, and you knew the lives that would be touched. And I just am so thankful that you chose us to be your hands and feet. And what a blessing and an honor that is. And God, I just pray for each and every homeowner and home and person that we came encounter with this past week. Lord, I just pray that the only thing they saw was you and your joy and your light. And I just thank you for these girls and for Dakota that were so good at just being your vessel this week and just radiating your joy. God, I pray a hedge of protection over this community. God, we know there's people in there who are rebuilding their homes for the third time. And I just pray that you would just put a hedge of protection over these victims, Lord, that they would never have to face this again. God, I thank you for choosing to protect us, and that we were protected from this storm. And God, I just pray that we are changed. And I just pray that as we're back in our home communities, Lord, that we would just remember that we can let that light shine here too, and we can be a helping hand here too. And so, God, I just thank you for each and every moment of this week. And I just pray that your kingdom grew and that you were pleased. God, we love you and praise you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.